Hello and welcome back to our part drawings lecture video. So in this tutorial we're going to go ahead and take the U-bracket that we've used previously and we're going to drop that into a drawing and create our first part drawing. So I've got my U-bracket open right now. First thing I want to do is go up to my new menu, find the standard drawing, hit create, and you'll see it creates a completely new file whenever I select my standard drawing and open it. As I stated in the lecture video prior to this, inside of our solid modeling programs, we actually use multiple different file types in order to create our technical drawings, our assemblies, our parts. So there's a lot of file management that goes along with using these 3D CAD systems. But what we're going to do now, we have our piece of paper. We're going to go in and we're going to create a base view, and it's going to be based off of our U-bracket model that we created. So if I go up to my ribbon, you'll see in the drawing environment, we've got a place view tab, an annotate tab, our sketch tab, and the tools, manage, view, all the other ones from our previous part ribbon. So really the two that we're concerned with are the Place Views tab and the Annotate tab in this environment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Base View, and you'll see it brings up my Drawing View menu and it gives me a preview of my U-bracket. So it automatically selected the U-bracket because I already had it open. Now, if I didn't want to choose the U-bracket and I wanted to find a different file or a different model to use for this, all you have to do is come up here to that magnifying glass and folder icon, click on that, and that'll allow you to search for a different type of file. But we want to use the U-bracket, so you can see here, it gives me a preview of my front view, and I can click and drag and move that around on the paper as I need to. Now, if you've had any prior CAD experience with AutoCAD or hand drafting, anything like that, doing a lot of views, orthographic views, can be challenging. So I'm going to blow your mind here for a second as I create all my views for this drawing. So I've got my front view. I'm just going to move up to the top here and click. There's my top view. Come to the side, click. There's my right side view. And I'm going to throw a 3D view up here too. And I'm just going to hit OK. And there I've got 4 views in less than a minute. So this is the true power behind these 3D CAD solid modeling programs. It allows us to quickly and efficiently make part drawings or technical drawings for our different components that we've created. Now the next thing that we want to do, we want to make sure that we have our hidden lines shown. So if I zoom in here, you can see that it does include my hidden lines to represent the holes that I've got in this U-bracket. Now, if you're not seeing that, that's okay. If you double click on any of our views here, it'll take us right back to that drawing view menu. And inside of there, underneath the styles section, we can actually pick to include hidden lines. We can do views without hidden lines, and we're just seeing object lines. We can also choose to shade the view as well, which is just colorizing the view. So I'm going to make sure that my hidden lines selected, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to leave the shaded just because I want you to see what it looks like. So when I do that, you'll see that it's coloring my 3 views here. Now the right and the top side view are associated to my front view, so anything I change here, these are going to change with it. The isometric view here is not directly associated with my front view, so it didn't change. But typically with our orthographic views like this, we don't leave them shaded. It becomes very hard to see hidden lines and dimensions when they're shaded like this, so I'm going to switch it back. And all you have to do is just select that and it will deselect that shade option. For our ISO view though, typically these are just there to show what the part looks like in 3D. And I like to go in and shade these. That way it gives a more realistic visual of the actual part itself. But now the next step that we want to get to in our views here is creating our center lines. So I always teach people that whenever you're setting up your views, you place your views, you go in, you want to create your center lines first, because there are times that we need to dimension to those. And then once those are created, then we can go in and start adding our dimensions. Now, up in the Annotate tab, we do have several options for center lines and center marks up here. The one that I tend to use the most whenever I need to place center lines is my center line bisector. That allows me to pick two edges and it will place a center exactly in the middle of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, come down to my hidden lines for my hole there, and if I click both sides, it goes ahead and creates that bisecting center line. Whoop. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of my side views of my holes that are shown as hidden. Now the next thing we want to do is add in our center marks. So I'm going to go in, select my center mark option, and I'm just going to go in and click my holes when I see them in their true shape. And now I've got those added in. Now with those added in, this is where I like to go in and start adding my dimensions. One thing I do want to show you first before we start doing that is the difference between our retrieved dimensions and our general dimensions that we manually create. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click on my view, and if I come up to the Retrieve Model Annotations option here and click that, let me zoom in so you get a better view of this. You can see that it brings in every dimension I used in order to create this model. Sometimes that is a good thing. Sometimes I can pick the ones that I want to keep, but you can also see that it's giving me diameter dimensions here on the hidden holes. Same for the center to center measurement, my dimension that I use to center up the rectangular cut. So it truly does include everything. I typically don't like using this tool because it is cluttered up. You have to go in there and pick the ones you want to keep and get rid of the ones you don't want to keep. So I typically avoid using this. The only true kind of benefit to this is that if I wanted to, I could change the dimension on the drawing and it would directly go back and change the actual part or model. So you could make edits directly in your technical drawing. But as I said again, I'm not the biggest fan of that. A lot of times they're more of a hindrance than they are helping. So in that case, what we want to do is go up to our dimension command up here on the ribbon and click on it, or D is the shortcut for it. Now there is only one dimension command. If you're used to AutoCAD, where we had a dimension command for pretty much every type of feature, that doesn't exist in Inventor. This one dimension is more of a smart dimension. It's going to give you the dimension based off what you're picking on your drawing view. So if I select this top edge here, it thinks I want to take that 1 inch dimension or the length of that edge. If I then proceed to click on the bottom edge down here, it goes, oh wait, you want to measure the distance between those two edges, and it changes itself. So this makes it pretty quick to go through your view and add a bunch of dimensions at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to start adding in some of the dimensions I'm seeing here. And get this guy dimensioned out. You can see right here, I can use those center points, or those center marks, excuse me, to go in and dimension things as well. But as I'm dimensioning this, what you really want to do as you're going through and adding these on here is making sure that you're providing all the information necessary for someone to pick up this drawing and recreate and make this part. So one thing that we will want to do, especially on features that we have that are repeating themselves, or we might have multiples of, is go in and add a note of how many there are. A standard in industry that you'll see often is typing typical after a dimension, or TYP period. So what that is telling us, the reader, is that the holes here that I'm seeing are typical or the same. So if I were to come up here and do the same on my radius dimension, that's telling me that this radius and this radius are typical. They're the same. So it comes in very handy. You don't have to go in and count out every single feature that you have. So it is kind of a quick way to do this without having to add in and count a bunch of features. I've said it many times before, I'll continue to say it. Designers and draftsmen, we're lazy. We like to take the easy way when it comes to creating drawings. So if you see that, that's what that means. But you just want to make sure that you're getting all the information that you might possibly need. Now, the nice thing is, once I have this all filled out, and I've got it to the point where I think I've got enough dimensions on there that if I pass this off, someone could rebuild it. We'll want to go in, fill out the information in our title block. And I'm not going to show you how to do that on the standard drawing here, just because each company has a different title block and a different way of how they fill out that information. So, for example, where I work, we use some iLogic and some automation to basically fill out everything for us and place certain symbols and certain things on our drawing that we need based on the customer. So we're going to skip that for now because it is a very varied approach of how you can fill that information out. What I do want to show you though is once you're done, you've got your views set up, is you can go in and export your drawing as a PDF. And in most cases, this is how we transfer our drawings from the CAD system to the shop floor, to sales, to wherever they need to go, to vendors, etc. So if you do that, you can easily export that drawing. It'll come in as the correct paper size, your line weights and everything will show up correctly. It's a very easy way to do that. One thing that I typically have people check before PDFing something, we've got our options here. You always want to make sure that it's grabbing all of your sheets in your drawing packet. If by default it's on current sheet, if you export it, it's only going to grab the one that you're looking at. So, but once you have that set, you can save it and you're good to go. The last thing I do want to show though is I'm going to go back to my U bracket here. And I did mention in the lecture previously that there is kind of a trend of moving away from paper and 2D drawings. And how we do that in industry is by using model-based definition. In Inventor, if you're inside a part or an assembly, you'll notice that there is an annotate tab on the ribbon. This is where we can go in and start adding tolerances, datum reference frames, dimensions. We can do hole or thread notes, surface textures, welding symbols, you name it, anything that we can typically put on a drawing in our 2D space, we can attach it to our 3D model. Now, it does take a bit of getting used to because you have to worry about what plane that you're adding in those dimensions to. As you can see, those two dimensions, my radius and my diameter, are on different planes. So you're not always going to see all of them at one time. So you have to rotate around to kind of be able to see what all you're looking at. But I can continue going in here and adding in those same dimensions that we did on the drawing, and you get the idea. So instead of then creating a PDF file, someone could just take this model and pass it off to fabrication or whoever needs to see it and get that same information. Like I said, there is a trend towards this, but it is very hard to get away from 2D drawings. You're still most likely going to see them in your company or wherever you end up working. So, but that's all I've got for you in this video. We'll continue on and learn more commands and more features of our drawings as we move forward through the rest of the series. So thanks for sticking around, and as always, be inventive.